Morning, Eric.
Good morning.
Zoom does not want to use my FI profile. You're recording. All right. Let's wait another minute and see if we get any others to join. Besides my dog, he decided to burst into the room. Just a moment. All right, let's get started. We're a few minutes after. On the agenda today, things I had to chat about were the report that I gave to the board yesterday. We can go over that, and I think that's really all that I had on the agenda. Besides continuing to look at I think we're pretty much done with the non-technical content for the overview deck that we've got, and it's now time to give it to the TSC, and I'll do that on Thursday and give them and ask them to update and create the various pages they want in that overview deck.
Paul, do we have a outreach representative who's going to interface with Dash community? I know you mentioned that.
We don't. Yes, that would be something to mention here as well.
Yeah.
That would be good to see if anyone is interested in doing that, because we did talk about Dash yesterday in the TSC a bit. Not the TSC, excuse me, the board meeting. And Venkat is going to be the governing board representative that interfaces with Gerald at the TSC, and we at Dash, and we have from the TSC, Dan Daly and Vipin Jain are going to represent on the technical side to Dash, and we were looking for someone from the outreach committee to kind of be that person as well. So someone from this group, someone who can take on that and nurture that relationship. So that's on the agenda as well. Any others?
Are we all tied out on the SmartNIC Summit, Paul, or do we still have?
We are, yeah, we're listed on the SmartNIC Summit website, so I think we're all good to go there. As far as the SmartNIC Summit folks are concerned, we still have to decide who the speakers are going to be for the API and the provisioning section. Well, we have to decide if the folks from Dell are able to travel or not. They still haven't figured that out yet. They haven't gotten approval to do so.
Okay.
So let's start with the board meeting. We reported to them that we met with the BD team from Linux Foundation, the Mike Wooster. We reported that we didn't think we were quite ready, that we thought it would be a waste of their time and our time until we have more content and that we have some more participation to drive that effort alongside the BD team. We expected that could happen sometime closer to the end of the year. They agreed with our assessment and agreed not to sign up right now. So by not making a decision, they essentially made a decision, didn't need to vote on it. And so we can go back to Mike and team and let them know that we're thinking later in the year, not right now. Do you hear anything else on that topic, Mark? That would be.
No, I think in general, I think they were in agreement, right? They understood our
yeah, they understood what we were thinking and went from there. So I'm gonna. The other things we did is we reviewed the outreach committee members from Marvell. I'm not sure everybody else here knew, but Jeffrey Ho has been nominated by Carrie Usury to be the outreach committee, outreach working group member for Marvell, and we alerted the team to that. We also talked about the press release that is being worked on right now, that it is sometime in May going to be released in conjunction with the SmartNIC Summit and ARM joining the foundation. I gave them the link to that they could go read it if they wanted to. Maybe you can give us an update on that in just a minute. Gave them an update on where we are with the website, branding guidance, the template, and our slide deck, and that we're waiting for the Linux Foundation to actually do some work there. Linux Foundation has what they need to do it, and we're just waiting for them to revert back with a design that we can look at. We've initiated a white paper. We said we would build the table of contents. I think Sridhar said he would do that. I haven't seen that yet. And then we would ask the TSC for involvement for the content. And then I mentioned the SmartNIC Summit that we seem to be all arranged there. And our half-day summit went live on the SmartNIC Summit scheduling webpage over the weekend, I believe. So it's listed there. If you want to, you can point people to it. I can see if I can find that link real quick. Paste it in the chat.
It was a little bit disappointing to see other events happening in parallel to our half-day session. There's like 3 tracks.
Yes. Yep. 3 different tracks. Well, so there's the afternoon session for Dash. There's SmartNICs and use cases, and then OPI are the 3 that are after lunch. But I will copy that and in Zoom, should you want to see it, and message it to folks. Let people know that we will be there. Social media, all that good stuff. There it is. That link. And that's what we reported back to the board. Any other things that we want to talk about there? Do you want to hear about other things that were presented to the board? Joe White was not there. He was out sick, so he did not do the TSC update. We talked a bit about the lab and that the master services agreement is still under review, and that's what's preventing us from moving forward. buying equipment and sending it. So it's a limit of liability question that they have on their master services agreement. It's a pretty standard one. There were folks on the board that said, yes, this is standard. This is what we've seen in the past. It's nothing new. And that Linux Foundation should just go ahead and sign it because that's what everybody else does. But we'll see what they end up doing. May, do you want to give us a quick intro to what's going on with the PR and where we're at with that? And you've received feedback, I know, from me. Did you get what you needed from Mark and everybody that you were looking for?
Yes,
I know.
so the draft is ready. Mark is still working on a quote, which I hope will come today.
I do too. It's with my marketing, outbound marketing team now, so they have to approve it.
Okay, perfect. And then we added a quote from the governing board chair, Chris Murphy. And so she reviewed, excuse me. She reviewed her quote. She had questions, well, not questions, she had changes. And so we're going to update her quote so she's more comfortable with it. But as soon as we get her approval, we'll then share the press release with the LF leadership, letting them know that this press release is coming, making sure that ARPIT approves his press release, and then we should be good to go as long as we have, I think one of the items that we are still waiting for is some of the other OPI talks that are accepted. Paul, I think you said that there was a keynote that.
Yeah, I don't know which day that is. I don't see it on the agenda yet.
Okay,
So we have a meeting, or I have a meeting with that team Thursday at 10 a.m. So I will again ask where it is on the schedule.
Perfect. Do we know who's giving the keynote?
We don't yet.
Okay.
It'll be someone who is there, obviously. I'll be there. We'll find someone who can do it. It could be me. It could be Joe White. Chris won't be there. We'll have other members of the board there. I know that Joel Moses will be there. I don't know about others that may or may not be there, from outreach committee or boards or that sort of stuff. So we will look at those.
Okay.
Come up with. That one will be a pretty easy one. I expect it'll just be a subset of what it is we talk about in our overview deck.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many slides there will be, other than possibly here's the members slide, and then just talk generally about what OPI is, and possibly list the other sessions that we know that are from OPI members or folks that are going to mention OPI in their sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. If you could just ask them like what those details are and when those details are going live on their website.
Yep.
Because those are just the last few details we need for the press release.
Got it. I will ask for those details on my meeting on Thursday.
Perfect. Thank you. And then Mark, after you give us the quote, do we need to share the final press release with your marketing team for approval?
I've shared the latest version this morning. I'm hoping that they're going to give us a thumbs up as it stands. They may need to do a quick check on the final version, but I'm hoping the long process is kicked off now. It usually takes 7 days to get that through approval. Now, the other thing that's missing in your press release is the names of those speakers, right? For the life cycle and provisioning talk, as well as the APIs. So we're still missing those. Those are placeholders right now.
Yeah.
And again, we're waiting on a couple of folks from Dell on whether or not they can attend or not. travel or not. So
Okay,
Joe, who doesn't need to travel, will be there. But I don't know. Boris has told me he has not yet heard, and I got the same from Stephen. That's Stephen Mark Sanders.
So what are we targeting a specific day for this release?
no, I mean, we're just getting it ready, and then as soon as the links are live, we can
Okay.
go out as soon as it's ready.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think we just continue to push this through the approval process, and then as soon as we've got the links, we're ready to go.
Okay.
Any questions about the press release?
No, I will.
Yeah.
I will take a look at. Chris asked me a question about the. Yes, we could do that here. She asked a question about that quote.
Yeah, it seems like she didn't, or she was uncomfortable with the last part of the last sentence.
Yeah. Now I need to find again, which tab was that on?
Hmm.
In the chat, I'll put the quote that you had proposed, and then she was interested about the last part of it.
Their participation will help to ensure the project software and hardware components are optimized for programmable infrastructure solutions. So that was the question she had, was she didn't like optimized for programmable infrastructure solutions. So,
Yeah, I mean, project doesn't have hardware components in it, would be part of it.
yeah. Their participation will help ensure that the project software and hardware components are optimized for.
So what is it that ARM joining is doing? They're helping drive the mission and goals that we have. They're helping add industry perspective to the OPI project's solution.
The only thing that pops to mind for me, and it's something I'm going to talk about, so I'm hesitant to offer it here, but it's all about the extending the firmware standardization that we've been doing, in other areas of the server architecture to DPUs, right? So all the firmware guidelines around system ready and those programs.
And that's what you're going to talk about in your quote?
So would it be better to say that their participation will help ensure that Vendors' hardware and software components are optimized to work with open programmable infrastructure
Vendors,
solutions.
it'd be vendors. Software and hardware components are optimized for. But still
Should we
keeping the
replace-
last part.
Yeah,
Sorry.
maybe that one changes to DPUs or to OPI.
Or optimized, optimized for DPUs.
Yeah. What do you think, Paul? Is that low? Like the other thing that I was thinking is the software, right? Maybe we change that to firmware. So firmware and hardware components.
I was, yeah, give me just a second.
Yeah, for sure.
Or but that their participation will help ensure that DPU components are optimized for OPI programmable infrastructure solutions.
That. I'm sorry, say again.
I put it in the chat, but their participation will help to ensure that DPU components are optimized for OPI programmable infrastructure solutions.
The DPU components are optimized for. Their participants. DPU are optimized. Okay.
That sounds good to me as well.
Okay.
So how about we take that and propose that back to, I can propose it back to Chris after this meeting.
Okay, perfect.
So I don't lose it in the chat. Let me grab it and put it in an email.
And then just to make sure, I wrote Arpit's quote. Did that look right to everybody? I'll put it in the chat.
Everything except the word in front of next generation data centers in the last sentence.
Next generation, okay. Ecosystem for next generation, okay. Perfect.
Because yeah, we're talking about multiple things there. And you did, thank you, get the Oxford comma in there. To joke around my boss doesn't like the Oxford comma and I do, and we joke about it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Is that his title, General Manager, Networking, Edge, and IoT?
Yep.
Okay.
It sure is. Arpit wears lots of hats.
Mm-hmm. And he's okay with that quote?
I haven't sent it to him yet.
Okay.
Once we have a more final version of the press release, I have to send it to leadership and he'll be one of them.
Got it. Good. I like it.
So I got a question on the last phrase there. Is the conference June 13th to 15th with the pre-conference the 13th? Is that how they advertise it, or do they advertise the opening on the 14th?
They're advertising it as the 13th. Let's see how they're.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, they do advertise it this way. It just seems odd, right? They advertise it as 3 days, but then the first day they call it a pre-conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
the
that's the way it
13th,
is.
15th.
Huh. I guess that makes sense. The keynotes are on the middle day, so they
Right. On
set it up
Wednesday.
this way. Okay. I'll pass around the quote once I get it approved on my side, and we can review and see how it flows in here.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions out there, folks? Anything else you want to talk about, or do we get some time back today?
For the overview deck.
Yes,
So are we ready for me to share it with the LF Creative Services team?
I think we are ready to share. Yes, I think we are ready to share it with them.
Okay,
And say that it's the. Let me show you what I'm looking at. Share. So we are ready to have them look at slides 1 through at least 15
1
right
through
now.
15, okay.
And start work on that. There are slides 19 and following, some of these ones with different diagrams on them. We haven't gotten the latest diagrams from the working groups and that sort of stuff. So we want to get that and add those here.
Okay,
But there's enough for them to do to start on 1 through 15 to get started on it. I
okay,
think.
perfect. Then I will let them know.
Yeah. And then when we get, you can let them know that the diagrams they see 30 through 33 are the kinds of diagrams that we'll be putting in here. Do they have any suggestions on how to make them consistent? So I believe all the diagrams are coming from draw.io.
So 30 through 33. Are these the final diagrams that you want them
These
to
are
put in our
the
colors?
I don't know that they're the final diagrams, but they are the style of diagrams that come out of draw.io, which is what gets put on GitHub in the different repositories.
Okay,
And that's how the TSC has decided they're going to do diagrams. So it would be, I believe, is there a way they can create a style that's consistent with their branding that can be used in draw.io that people can just say, here is the style that we use for draw.io diagrams. Make sure you're using this font, these colors, and supply that to the team so that as they make diagrams, they can have a consistent look and feel.
okay. I will ask them.
And if they want to talk through that, I mean, we can get on a call and look at draw.io and where these diagrams are and how they're made and what options are available there.
Okay. So basically we want templates based on these diagrams that we
Yes.
can update that is in our brand colors and fonts that we can be able to update as we need to.
Yep.
Okay.
Brand color fonts that have, like this one's black and white and is square boxes. This one's colored with round edge boxes. This one is different colors with square boxes. This one has pictures, different things in it. So that's the kind of, I'd like to find a consistency that says you will use rounded corner boxes or not, that sort of thing.
Okay. Okay, perfect. I will get the team started. I'll also
Perfect.
check in with the website team to see if they will be able to present something in our next meeting,
Okay, that'd be great.
just of where they're at or initial designs.
Okay, and that's Elena in team, is that correct?
Correct. Mhm.
Okay. Any other updates from anyone? Any other agenda items, or are we good?
You want to talk about the Dash community
Sure.
rep? Not that I'm volunteering, but I'm curious to see how that plays out. Well, honestly, I just don't know much about it. I plan on learning more about the whole Dash environment, what they do there. I'm quite
Mhm.
curious to see how that aligns with all the members here in terms of Dash and Sonic and whether that makes sense for
Mhm.
OPI. So that's why I bring it up. I'm quite curious about it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. So my
Actually,
thought.
I
Oh, go ahead, Alon.
I'm more than willing to help on the Dash side.
Okay, that would be great. Do you want to be the outreach working group Dash liaison?
I think I'll need to be both the outreach and the use case group outreaching liaison, because it seems that it's converging.
Okay,
Oh, that's good
sounds
to
good.
hear. So
Just
Alon, you're saying that there's in the use case group, you're working on some of those use cases that will leverage Dash in their construct.
Yeah, we've been discussing for a while how to put a NOS type of mentality as a use case, and Dash is the route to that in a way. I think all the companies that are the switch and the chip vendors are actually working in Dash to some capacity, and we were looking for sort of the basic layer of switching functionality on a DPU IPU, and it seems like Dash gives you a good sense of that initially, and that's why I do believe we need to tighten the collaboration also on the use case side.
So one of the areas that I'm curious about, Aladdin, something to keep in mind, as you know, how friendly are the firmware requirements that kind of we impose with our System Ready program, for instance, to the needs of Dash and Sonic? And does Sonic have to come with Dash? Is that like a...
No, it does not. You can think of Dash as a lower layer of constructs and guidelines. And on top of that, you can build either Sonic, you can build other FRR functionalities. For example, we at NVIDIA are looking at Cumulus, which is also an FRR-based system. But most of all, it will open up the DPU IPU to be used as a switch to some extent. And the part I'm very interested in is actually two parts. One is layer 3 functionality, and the other is provisioning and management of the fleet. Because initially in the program at OPI, we discussed how do we manage a fleet of these out in the field. And if you think about a DPU as a switch, it actually already has a lot of software that manages a fleet of switches. So if we can make the DPU report back or report out as somewhat of a switch to some extent, again, not all of it, you can actually fleet manage a whole lot of them. So that's one of the goals.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to hearing some details on how those proof of concepts come together. Awesome. Thanks.
And a lot, one of my hopes that we get out of that we as the outreach working group will pursue is getting a closer relationship with Microsoft and enticing them to join OPI.
Of course. However, you and I know that that's a tall order.
Yep.
I think the first step to that would be some joint announcements with Dash.
Yeah.
For example, hey, Dash now works on DPUs and IPUs. That sort of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be great to do that at the OCP summit in the fall?
Oh, my friend, that's a very quick turnaround. I'm not sure we can make it that quick. But I really want to understand the details because I know of Dash. I don't know what the code looks like, and I don't know what the porting effort looks like. So we need to get in there and understand what's going on.
Okay, good.
Do we? And when you say the code porting effort, are you talking about the effort that Dan Daly was mentioning, that IPTK has done something with Dash already? Is
I'm
that
talking about the fact that right now we're looking at a higher layer of APIs that Dash provides and some basic code that it provides to, again, to mimic the layers of a switch on the management front. I have no idea what Intel did on the IPTK side.
right?
That needs to be examined as well. But I do know, again, that both Marvell, NVIDIA, and possibly even Pensando, AMD, worked with Dash on enabling some of their stuff. So we need to compare what Intel did to what the others did, and to see if we can find some alignment between all of the parties. That, for example, we agree that this needs to be done this way, and here is the implementation from Intel, here's the implementation from NVIDIA, blah, blah, blah. And then say, okay, so this part we have covered. What else do we need to define that is Dash adjacent or exact Dash a match for us? And based on that, start building features.
Okay.
Again, I don't know what they did, what Intel did. We need to see.
Okay. Sounds good. And I assume that Venkat or not Venkat, but Dan Daly and Vipin will tackle that effort with Dash.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Perfect.
Cool. Thanks for that info.
All right. I think that's it from my side. And we can close it and call it a day.
Thanks, Paul.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great rest of the day. Bye.
Bye.